The Oracle of Love by Nessa Palacios. Chapter 1, Costa Rica, The Roots of the Heart. Discovering what love is. The Oracle of the Innocent. Who first taught you how to love? The first love appeared at age 21, when I arrived at a university. Up until then, I had not been allowed to have a boyfriend. My dad, a strong willed and authoritarian, had always insisted that I focus on my studies and, above all, that I be careful not to get pregnant. And although I snuck out of the house a few times in high school, which led to a few beatings, yes, I come from a generation that saw being struck as a lesson, even though I now recognize how those lessons left deeper marks than I could see. I still prefer to follow the rules, reluctantly, but I follow them. When I finally obtained permission by enrolling in my first college class, I decided to wait for someone who was really worth it, according to my standards at the time. And that's how I met him. He was a year ahead on our program. Outgoing, intelligent, a leader, charismatic. I was drawn not only to him, but to the possibility of that long awaited first love. You know the type, that Disney movie kind of love. Charming, handsome, attentive, that forever together kind of love. He was respectful. He didn't drink or smoke. A good guy. Everything I thought the one should be. And still I waited. Not just at the origin of my inner voice, but also the voice of my mother. Wait for someone who's worth it. Don't get pregnant. Don't catch the disease. And please don't make the same mistakes I did. So I waited to give all of myself, to feel safe with him, to believe this could be love too. Because there was love in my life, but there was also pain. I grew up in a home replete with violence and an addiction. Shouting arguments were common, with a submissive mother and a father who will disappear for days, lost in addiction, only to return with regrets and apologies. My mom would forgive him, and then it will happen again. Today, I know that everyone was doing the best they could with what the things they knew, but as a child, I couldn't see that. Without realizing, I carry old wounds into my first relationship. I became jealous, reactive. I became a version of my dad that I wanted it to leave behind. I sabotaged and lost myself. My behavior started to affect my studies, my scholarship, and my mental health. I started going to therapy little by little. I began to unpack on my relationship with my parents, but still, I stayed stuck in rebellion and in that victim role that I felt like it wasn't worth with the word. And even so, I share beautiful moments with him. We studied together, took elective classes together, and celebrating each month like it was our anniversary. We dedicated songs to each other, wrote letters. With the little we had, we made every moment count. But there was also a quiet rejection. His family never worked to me. I wasn't pretty enough, rich enough, or the kind of woman they wanted it for him. It was a pain that struck a nerve, inflamed my deepest insecurities, my skin color, my teeth, and my without braces, my body that didn't look like the ones in the magazines, the ones that I was told I should have, all of the things I spent years trying to suppress. I still believe I could marry him, that we will grow, create, and explore together. We live in a bubble where reality and fantasy blended, but that bubble, like all bubbles, eventually bursts. The hardest part, something I have never said out loud, was a meeting that I heard him, that there was violence on my part and that I was unfaithful. I was walking through darkness across a great fault line. I look at myself in the mirror, unable to recognize the woman capable of hurting someone who had tried to love me with all of his heart. And yet, he tried to stay. He wanted to continue walking with me. He wanted to love me. Today, I understand that version of myself, a person with very limited emotional intelligence, fractured self esteem, and a deficit of self love. And all he wanted was to love me. I never heard from him again. To this day, I don't know where life took him. And while part of me wants to discover and answer and speak with him once again, I don't know if this is the itch of the ego or a genuine need to thank him and to ask for forgiveness. He told me that love is not enough when there is no self awareness, that before loving another person, you must learn to avoid recreating the moments and feelings that hurt you. But my lesson didn't end there. Just when I thought I had learned, another brush with love showed me the positive. Another tico, as we effectively say in Costa Rica, with whom I embark on a different journey of our own making, where new fantasies once again clashes with old ones. My insecurities, anxious attachments, and control patterns intensified this time. Unknowingly, I kept grasping for love from a foundation that was crumbling in the absence of self love. During this time, my view of the world began to grow. Thanks to exposure to artwork, theater, and poetry, I was beginning to have transformative encounters with the stage, with expression, with that part of me that truly wanted to heal. I knew I could work, earn my own income, make my own decisions, but I didn't. I still feel limited financially, depending upon my dad, trapped between the desire for freedom and the fear of leaving the nest. Claim my power intimidated me. I justified my passivity by telling myself that the world had to adapt to me, that it wasn't my time yet. Then he appeared, and with him, another chance to discover what I had learned or I hadn't. Another projection of what I thought I deserved. It wasn't the same script, but the emotional pattern was unmistakably. He came with a different energy. At first, things were slow and understood, with casual meetings that grew more frequent. Soon, he was spending more time at my place than his, and I love it. I felt like I was forming the start of a new family, creating art together and sharing the same passion for expression on the stage. This time, I felt the warmth of acceptance from his family, and that for me was a balm after experiencing rejection in my first relationship. Feeling welcomed by the people he loved without conditions or labels was a caressing of the soul. However, our wounds were not in perfect harmony. His friends looked at me with uncertainty. I didn't understand at the time, but over time, I realized our relationship was also a kind of a projection, one in which attachment masqueraded as love and emotional dependence embalmed the two of us. He began to neglect his career, his goal, his path. Instead of feeling proud of our connection, I started feeling possessive, the memory of which still makes me shudder all of these years later. We tried living together, and that's when everything broke. This avalanche from passionate couple to cohabiting responsibilities that we were not ready to shoulder brought out the worst in us. I was in my final year of university, feeling the pressure of by my scholarship, my body, which was starting to change, and multiplying insecurities. I still struggle with family expectations, guilt, and the persistent fear of inadequacy. Almost unintentionally, he took on a new role as the provider. This appointment yielded frustration, jealousy, and reproach, several of which came from me. Once again, I found myself in a place of subtle violence, loss, and sadness. I had my family's support to leave, to move, to try rebuilding myself, but closure remained elusive. And that was the hardest part, recognizing that no matter how my body evolved and what paths I took, my heart and mind remained tied to this idea that love hurts, to the suspicion that I wasn't enough, to the compulsion to keep proving, asking, waiting. I danced on stages, but my self esteem hinged on how thin I was, on whether my tricks work, or whether my dad looked at me with approval or judged me silently. On waiting one day to hear words of pride come from his mouth. And I kept feeling anger, a lot of it. Anger that my dad, wouldn't quit his addiction. Anger that my mom stayed. Anger that knowing everything I did and had lived through, I still repeated the stories that I didn't know how to break free and escape that pattern. So, this was the first approach to love, with its lights and shadows, with its first scars, and at the first seeds of self awareness. Costa Rica, the roots of the heart. Chapter closing. Lessons from the Oracle of the Innocent. There are lessons that only bloom with time, when we're no longer inside the story, but walking alongside, from another body, from another voice. Loving for the first time was also discovering everything I was willing to give, even when no one asked me to it. It was also trying to be chosen without knowing that first I had to choose myself. It wasn't drama, it was the wound of not being heard at home. For a long time, I thought something was wrong with me, that I was too intense, too good, too naive. Today, I understand that all I did was love with the tools I had at the time, and that was an act of courage. These are the lessons that my body, my inner child, and my adult soul can appreciate today. Lessons from the Oracle of the Innocent. First, love, it isn't always a bond with another person. Sometimes it is the feeling of being truly seen for the first time. My need for connection was legitimate, not exaggerated. The body doesn't exaggerate. If it shrank, if it in, if it tense, if it hurt, it was trying to tell me something. Giving in wasn't weakness. It was how I learned to feel safe. I wasn't a broken woman. I was a child trying to love with what she knew. Innocence doesn't get lost, it transforms. Today, accompanies me as an intuition and tenderness. I can take care of myself without having to withdraw or detach. The innocent still lives within me. I hear her every time I laugh, wholly get excited by something new, or feel that I can trust without hesitation. Here, I share with you three sacred moments so that you can journey through your story. Look at it with more compassionate eyes and begin to rewrite it. And if you have also felt like you've repeated stories, even though you should know better, you're not alone. Sometimes the body remembers before the mind understands. Stage one, journaling. Give yourself a moment to honor who you once were, that inner child who believed she had to do everything perfectly to be worthy of love. Remember, you do not need logical or forced answers. There is no rush here, no expectation, only truth. This is your safest space. Write with compassion, without judgment, without filters, trusting that every word belongs to you. Let your narrative be shaped by curiosity and care towards yourself, as if you were gently accompanying a younger version of you. If at any moment sometimes feels like too much, breathe deeply, pause, and return only if you wish. What did I learn about love in my first home? What did I initially grow to believe about what it means to be enough or worthy? How did I learn to relate to my body when I loved? Did I feel like I had to earn love through the physical manifestation of who I was? What parts of me are still seeking external approval? What did my inner child needed when she first learned what love was? To deepen our connection with the teaching of the Oracle of Love and explore exclusive guided meditation, exercises, and dance practices, scan the QR code below to join the full program and continue your transformative journey. Stage 2, guided meditation. Let's imagine that younger version of you, the one who was discovering love for the first time. Allow the emotions to speak to you. Maybe you can put everything into words, and that's okay. Consider what arises emotions, images, physical sensations without judging or changing anything. Simple listen. Give all of these things to your attention with self compassion. By feeling, you're already beginning to heal. Stage 3, body movement. Your story also lives in your body. In this short belly dance sequence, I invite you to return to your center, your belly as a sort of creation, intuition, fire. It's not about doing it right, it's about doing it consciously, embracing your inner child who still deserves to be heard, to release an old story. With one movement at a time, you rewrite the memory. This is an act of bodily and emotional self affirmation. Breathe and without rush, acknowledge. My body also deserves love. My body also has memory. My body also knows. At the end, give yourself a moment between these exercise stages. If you start to feel uncomfortable, stop. It is okay to feel it. That too is a brave step. You can repeat any of these stages depending on what your body and heart need that day. These exercises are designed to reconnect the body and mind, honor your story from an empathetic and conscious perspective. Represent the voice of the oracle of the innocent, that part of you that still knows how to love without mandates. So, come, brave soul, with every word you write, every sigh you let out, every moment you make with intention, you are coming closer to yourself. And this is only the beginning. I will see you in the next chapter where I will tell you about Australia and how another love story introduced me a different kind of a mirror.